Ambassador Krelvoth had seen many species in his 3 centuries of diplomatic service to the Galactic Council. He had negotiated treaties with the crystalline Jarn, shared laughter with the gaseous Valorians, and even found common ground with the notoriously stubborn Krath Empire. But never had he encountered a species quite like the humans. The first contact had gone smoothly, almost too smoothly. The human delegation arrived at the neutral station aboard a modest civilian vessel, broadcasting friendship in 17 different languages and frequency bands. Their ambassador, a woman named Sarah Chen, had been disarmingly pleasant. She smiled often, made self-deprecating jokes about humanity's late arrival to the galactic stage, and eagerly signed every non-aggression pact the Council put before her. "We're just happy to be here," she had said, her dark eyes twinkling with what seemed like genuine wonder. "To learn from species who've been navigating the stars for millennia, while we were still figuring out agriculture." The Council delegates had found her humility refreshing. Most species came to first contact with either arrogance or terror. The humans displayed neither. They asked thoughtful questions, took extensive notes, and seemed genuinely interested in cultural exchange programs and trade agreements. Krelvoth had personally recommended humanity for provisional membership in the Galactic Council. It had been unanimous. That was 6 months ago. Now, as Krelvoth stood in the diplomatic hall of the Council's central hub, watching Ambassador Chen's face on the view screen, he felt the first tendrils of doubt creeping into his mind. "I'm afraid I don't understand the Council's position," Chen said, her voice still pleasant but with an edge that hadn't been there before. "You're demanding that humanity surrender sovereignty over the Sol System's asteroid belt?" High Chancellor Vorn, a towering Krath with scales that shimmered like oil, leaned forward. "It is standard procedure, Ambassador. All mineral-rich regions within 3 light-years of Council space fall under collective jurisdiction. Surely you understood this when you signed the membership accords." "Section 47, subsection 12, Chen replied without missing a beat, "which specifically exempts home systems of member species from collective jurisdiction." "The Sol System is humanity's home system." Vorn's scales darkened with irritation. "A technicality." "The spirit of the law is exactly as written," Chen interrupted. "We've been cooperative. We've shared our technology, our culture, our resources. But the asteroid belt contains materials essential to our expansion and survival. We won't surrender it." The chamber erupted in murmurs. Several delegates activated their translation matrices, unable to believe what they were hearing. A species barely half a year into Council membership was refusing a direct demand from the High Chancellor. Krelvoth activated his own communicator. "Ambassador Chen, please. Perhaps we could discuss alternative arrangements." "There's nothing to discuss, Ambassador Krelvoth," Chen said, and for the first time her smile was gone. "We came in peace. We've honored every agreement, but we will not be bullied." High Chancellor Vorn rose to his full height, nearly 3 meters of muscle and ancient authority. "You forget yourself, human. The Council has ways of enforcing compliance. Your species is outnumbered, outgunned, and outmatched. I suggest you reconsider your position before we are forced to make you reconsider." The silence that followed was absolute. Then Sarah Chen did something that would be discussed in diplomatic circles for generations to come. She smiled. "High Chancellor," she said softly, "I'd like to introduce you to someone." The view screen split. Beside Chen's face appeared another human, this one a grizzled man in a dark uniform covered in insignia that none of the Council delegates recognized. "This is Admiral Marcus Reeves," Chen said, "commander of the Terran Defense Fleet." "Defense Fleet?" Vorn scoffed. "You have 12 vessels. Civilian transports modified with primitive kinetic weapons. Do you truly believe 13 vessels, actually?" the Admiral interrupted. "You've been tracking 12. We felt it prudent to keep one in reserve." He pressed something off-screen. Every sensor array in the Council hub suddenly screamed warnings. Proximity alerts, gravity distortions, energy signatures that shouldn't exist, all converging on a single point just outside the station's defensive perimeter. On the main display, space itself seemed to tear apart. The ship that materialized was unlike anything the Council had ever seen. It was massive, nearly 3 kilometers long, its hull a matte black that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Weapon systems covered every surface. Railguns, missile pods, energy cannons of unknown design. But it was the readings that truly terrified the assembled delegates. Impossible, Vorn whispered. No species achieves quantum stealth technology within their first millennia of space travel. We're creative problem solvers, Chen said, her smile returning. It's kind of our thing. Admiral Reeves leaned into the frame. The TDFS Defiant has been shadowing this station since first contact. Every meeting, every negotiation, every veiled threat, we've been listening. We came in peace, Chancellor. We genuinely wanted to join the galactic community as partners. But we learned something during our short time with the Council, Chen continued. We learned that you've been running a protection racket disguised as a government. Join the Council, surrender your resources, accept your place in the hierarchy, or face economic sanctions and military intervention. The delegates erupted in protests, but Chen spoke over them. How many species have you bullied? How many civilizations have you crushed under the weight of standard procedures and collective jurisdiction? We went back through your public records. The patterns are clear once you know what to look for. Krelvoth felt his world crumbling. Had he been blind? Had he spent 3 centuries enforcing tyranny while believing it was diplomacy? Here's what's going to happen, Admiral Reeves said, his voice hard as steel. Humanity will retain full sovereignty over our home system. We will honor the trade agreements we've signed, the fair ones, and the Council will reform its membership requirements to eliminate the predatory clauses. And if we refuse? Vorn challenged, though his scales had paled considerably. The Admiral's smile was cold. Then you'll discover exactly how creative humans can be when we're angry instead of friendly. On the display, the Defiant's weapon systems activated, painting every ship in the Council fleet with targeting lasers. We scanned your vessels, Reeves continued. Impressive numbers, but your technology hasn't advanced in centuries. You've been coasting on the work of species you absorbed long ago. Our weapons are cutting edge, designed by a species that spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of killing each other before we ever reached the stars. Chen leaned forward, her expression suddenly gentle. We don't want war, Council. We truly don't. Humans have seen enough war to last us several lifetimes, but we will not be victims. We will not surrender our freedom. We will not bow. The chamber remained silent for a long moment. Finally, Krelvoth activated his communicator. Perhaps, he said slowly, the Council should revisit certain administrative policies in the spirit of genuine partnership. Other delegates began nodding, some reluctantly, others with visible relief. High Chancellor Vorn stood rigid for several seconds before his scales shifted to a neutral gray. We will take your proposal under advisement, Ambassador Chen. That's all we ask, Chen replied, her warm smile returning. We'll be waiting, peacefully, but ready. The transmission ended. As the Defiant vanished back into whatever quantum realm it had emerged from, Krelvoth realized that the galaxy had just changed forever. Humanity had done something no species had managed in recorded history. They had called the Council's bluff and won. First contact had indeed been peaceful. But it was the threat of Terran war that would ensure the peace lasted.